Welcome, vinyl community. As you can see, I am here today with two very special guests. I have Chris Propfe and Aaron Mutha Alamare. They are joining me today for our Deep Purple Top 10 songs. We have picked our top 10 Deep Purple songs, and we're also allowing ourselves 5 honorable mentions. So I want to welcome both of you to this very special episode. I know we're all very passionate Deep Purple fans. And what I usually like to do before we get into our list is just kind of go around and talk about how we got into Deep Purple. So Aaron, if we want to start with you, just what got you into Deep Purple and how long have you been a Deep Purple fan?
Well, growing up, my dad, one of his favorite records was Shades of Deep Purple. So I've heard that since I was a little kid. I always heard like the Ian Gillan stuff, but I wasn't really that into it until about 20 years ago. And then I really started getting into the Ian Gillan era and then the Coverdale era, but now they're one of my very favorite bands. So it's just a continual thing. The older I get, the more I like them.
Yeah. Well, and they keep coming out with great stuff. That's the thing. It's not like they've, faded away. I mean, they just came out with Whoosh last year, which was a tremendous album. So how about you, Chris?
I mean, nobody in my family listened to Deep Purple. With a lot of my music, I was like on a self-discovery thing. And I think, when I discovered Zeppelin 4, that was the first Zeppelin album I listened to. I think it just sort of led me to Deep Purple. Like, you mentioned Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple a lot of times in the same breath. And one of my first Deep Purple albums was Fireball. And I just fell in love with it. And then since then, I've, got to all of their stuff. I don't think there's a Deep Purple album that I don't like. So, yeah.
Yeah. My parents growing up, they had Who Do We Think We Are? And the first Deep Purple song that I ever heard was Woman from Tokyo. And they used to just crank that song. And so that was my first exposure to Deep Purple. And then Smoke on the Water was all over the radio in the 70s. And first Deep Purple I got, which probably is the first Deep Purple album most people got, was Machine Head. And then I discovered Fireball. And, I kind of went album by album and got deeper and deeper into Deep Purple. So, I've always appreciated their music. I'm kind of biased towards the Ian Gillan era, but, the Mark II lineup, I guess, is probably my favorite. But Aaron, do you want to start with your honorable mentions? I know you got about 20 there, but maybe you since
I could have had a top 100 of this, really. So my honorable, I'll do my 5. And so at number 11, just missing my cut, was the song Fireball. And it was hard for me not to put that in my top 10 because I love it so much, but it just barely missed my cut. And then Speed King, barely missed. And I love the intro to that with on the European version, has a really killer intro. I don't know if you've heard that.
I have I have the expanded version of In Rock, so it's got that on it.
Yeah, I got that on vinyl, and it's just, I love that version. And then I got this song, This Time Around, an Ode to G. That's from Come Taste the Band.
That's an underrated album.
Yeah, and that's a great song. It's got that, Tommy Bolin just does that incredible stuff on Ode to G. It's just, I love it. And that's just missed it. And You Fool No One from Burn, almost made my cut. Really love that one. And Never Before. I really love Never Before. It just sticks in my head. So those are my honorable mentions. It almost made it. I could go 15 more, but I won't do that. But there's a bunch more I had on here that just barely missed my cut. And,
I started the list about 3 days ago, and it's gone through so many revisions. And finally, I'm okay. I just have to leave it now. I'm walking away. I'm not adding, taking anything away. This is what I'm going with. But your honorable mentions, Chris?
Well, first of all, I'm just going to say, Aaron, I can't wait to see your list, brother, because Speed King and Fireball didn't make the top 10. Those are good freaking songs. Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting. So my honorable mentions, they're not in any sort of order, but here's a random song. I've always loved Anyone's Daughter, Fireball. It's got like a folk country vibe to it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I just have always, loved that song.
It allows Ian to sing in a different style than just kind of, operatic style, where he's howling and, just
right.
the great Ian Gillan. It's sort of a different, almost a theatrical voice, because he was in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Right.
The singing style on Anyone's Daughter really reminds me of, some of the Andrew Lloyd Webber material.
Right.
He did.
But I mean, I can see if somebody's not really into listening to different styles of music, they're not going to listen to that because they're going to be like, wait, this is not Space Truckin' or Speed King. You know what I mean? Into the Fire, freaking heavy song. Didn't make the top 10. Ask Me Tomorrow would probably be in the top 10. Highway Star. I love that song, even though it's played so much, but it's just killer. Deep Purple. Rat Bat Blue. Off of Who Do We Think We Are. I just love the vocals on that. I like the rhythmic chorus of that. And then here's one, Sail Away. I think it was on, is it on Burn?
Yep.
Just looking, yeah. Yeah, but it's just got this bluesy shuffle to it. And when the chorus comes in with Coverdale singing, it's just an amazing song. So those are my 5. I mean, Deep Purple, I'm just looking at this. Our honorable mentions are killer. Like this, they have so many great songs. So, yeah.
Well, my honorable mention is one of them is Burn. Love. It's such a kick-ass song. It's like they hadn't kicked ass like that since N Rock or Fireball. They'd gone through, Who Do We Think We Are and Machine Head, which it just didn't have the intensity that N Rock or Fireball had. And I feel like they really were re-energized after Ian Gillan left, and they got David Coverdale, and that song is just a barn burner. And then Super Trooper from Who Do We Think We Are?
Good song.
Song a lot. One of my favorites off that album. I picked Above and Beyond from Now What. I just love that track to death. That's probably my favorite. And I really, I like those Steve Morse albums a lot. So, I wish I could have picked more off of those, but I really like Now What a lot, and that song in particular. And then I feel like I needed to have, just because I wanted to kind of represent all the different eras, I picked one from the Mark I lineup. I picked The Painter off the Deep Purple self-titled album, because I feel like that's the heaviest. Out of those first 3 albums, I feel like that is the heaviest track. And it's just, I mean, I wish Ian Gillan had sang on that track, because it could have been an instant classic. And it's just, the way Richie Blackmore, to start out that song, he's just lighting it up on the guitar. And I just love that track. And then the last one is You Can't Do It Right from Stormbringer. It almost reminds me of like a Southern rock song, that track, but I really like that one off there. So that's 5 honorable mentions.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned Stormbringer, I mean, with Stormbringer and Come Taste the Band, and even with Burn, the whole David Coverdale, Glenn Hughes thing, I mean, they just brought in a whole like R&B flavor to their music, which was cool. It was like it was like changing it up, So, yeah, that was a good change up, I think.
Yeah,
but those albums don't get listened to that much or mentioned that much, Especially Come Taste the Band.
That's a good record.
Yeah. Because that probably had the fewest members from the classic lineup on it, but
Yeah, because Glenn Hughes was still on Come Taste the Band, right?
Yeah, he was. Tommy Bolin.
Coverdale was singing on Come Taste the Band. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on it.
And this is a random question. Their album Slaves and Masters or whatever. Who sang on that album? You remember? Either of you?
I don't know that one.
Yeah, that was. I'm just going to look it up right now because we were talking about different eras of Deep Purple.
This one.
Yeah, who sings on that one?
God, the printing's so small.
Let me look it up on my phone here.
I can't even read it.
But yeah, so we can get into it. I'll look this up right now.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. He was around for one album.
Joe Lynn Turner sang on that album.
Okay, I knew he had like a 3-name.
Yeah, that was the only album he sang on for them. So
okay.
Yeah, but
Rainbow
I don't have anything from that album in my top 10.
It sounds a little dated now. It's like early 90s, but it's all right. All right, so we can get into our number 10 track, and if want to start with you, Aaron.
Okay, number 10, I got Smoke on the Water. Had to put it in there. Just so good. I was fighting with that and Fireball and Speed King, and it's just Smoke on the Water, so classic. I couldn't leave it off there. I don't know, I just love it. The lyrics, that whole story, and the singing, I love that song. And every time I hear it, it kind of brings me back to my childhood, just because I heard it a lot on the radio, like you said, and I just couldn't leave it off. So that's what my number 10.
My kids love that song too.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves that song.
Oh yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. No, it's a definite bona fide classic, and it's one of the first riffs most people learn how to play when they're learning the guitar. Is that one? So
yeah,
love it. Yeah,
it's a great song. Yeah, I mean, you can't get away from that guitar riff either. I mean, it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it still gets you going when you hear it. It's like, at first you're like, oh, okay, Smoke on the Water again. But then you start listening to it, you're like, okay, yeah, the song is good.
I've never got tired of it.
Yeah.
I still love it. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, number 10 for you.
All right, number 10 off my favorite Deep Purple album. I only have one Deep Purple vinyl, so everything's on CD. But I'm going number 10, The Mule. And great song. It doesn't sound anything like the typical Deep Purple song. There's like these rolling drums in it. It's like sort of meandering melody that Ian Gillan's singing. But John Lord's keyboard work in that song is amazing. And then there's this ripping solo by Richie Blackmore. So The Mule, and it's awesome live. I think it's on Made in Japan as well, live. And it's a great song. But it's very unique because, like I said, it doesn't really sound like anything else on the first few albums with Ian Gillan. But I like it. I dig it.
Yeah, and that's a great album. That's one of their more underrated albums. You don't hear people talking Fireball too much, but that song deserves a lot of
well, yeah, and I think the main reason is it came in between In Rock and Machine Head.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what was it? Anyone's Daughter in the UK was not on the album.
No, it was a Strange Kind of Woman, and they had Demon's Eye. I have both versions.
Yeah, so if you put Demon's Eye on this album and take off Anyone's Daughter, I bet you it would have been more of people's favorites, But it's still my favorite. I don't really care because I like Anyone's Daughter.
Yeah.
Cool.
The song.
I'm glad you clarified. Thank you. My number 10, this is going to be kind of an oddball one, but I love this song. It's off Perpendicular.
That's a great album.
Vavoom, Ted the Mechanic.
Yeah.
Straight out of the gate. It's just such an intense song. And like straight away, it just gets so heavy. And I love it. I think it's a great song. I like that album a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I had to put that in the top 10 because I like it so much. But
I totally forgot about that album because I was looking on Spotify and that album's not on Spotify. And now I'm kicking myself because that's a great album. It's like classic Deep Purple.
Yep. All right, number 9, Aaron.
Okay, well, I forgot to show this on the last one, so that was from Machine Head, my Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
So number 9, from my favorite Purple record in rock, and it's Living Wreck.
Great song.
I love Living Wreck. It's just, oh man, it just sticks in my head for hours. And the singing on that, the guitar work, I just love it. It's yeah. I mean, this whole album and Fireball could have made my whole top 10, really. But I had to put other stuff in. So, but Living Wreck, it slays me. Love it.
Yeah, it's an earworm for sure.
Yep.
And that whole album, I mean, if anybody ever questioned whether Deep Purple should be mentioned in the beginnings of heavy metal, listen to In Rock. That's a heavy, that's a heavy freaking album.
And John Lord's keyboard in Living Wreck is just is killer. That where it kind of slows down just as the keyboard then comes back in. I just love that.
Yeah, because you don't think of a keyboard being like a heavy sounding instrument, but he plays the hell out of that.
And usually I don't like the keys as well, but when it's done like that, it like adds another dimension that I love.
And you know what I'm thinking? Live, it would have been amazing because a lot of times he followed the same riff as Richie Blackmore's guitar. It's like doubling the riff. That would have been freaking heavy live.
It's almost a dual guitar, yeah. Like
yeah. John Lord was amazing.
Yep.
So we're going to be here for what, 4 hours tonight, Jeff?
I think so. But yeah, well, you're number 9, Chris.
Okay. Well, I'm going old school here. Off Shades of Deep Purple. I got to put Hush in there. I love Hush. The chorus, the na 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 na, that's not the melody, but I love the na 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 na's part. I love when they just get into just simple hush, hush. That's just great. Rod Evans on vocals. I don't know if people know, but Rod Evans went on to be in Captain Beyond, which is another great band. There was a member of Iron Butterfly in Captain Beyond as well. But the early Deep Purple stuff, I really, really like. I don't listen to it that often, but it's almost like more folky blues based almost. And they do like Beatles covers and things like that as well.
Yeah, they do help on that album.
Yeah. And they do Hey Joe. I'm seeing Mandrake Root on here. Now, Mandrake Root, that was an instrumental, I want to say. That's another great song. But yeah, I'm going Hush, number 9.
Okay.
Good choice.
Thank you.
I'm going with Aaron's favorite album, In Rock, for my pick. I got to go with Speed King, and I would put this album up against any Black Sabbath album of the Ozzy era. I mean, it could go head to head. I don't care. It could go head to head with Paranoid. It could go head to head with Masters of Reality. I mean, it is so heavy, and it's definitely, they were the godfathers of heavy metal, heavy rock, and Speed King is just considering, the album that came before it was just such a departure, this was such a departure from, the album that came before, and to come right out of the gate, with Speed King, it's just such a heavy track, and I love it to death. There's no way I could leave that track off of here. And I'm going to be coming back to this album quite a bit in the top 10. So I'm going to keep the CD handy here, but I just love that album.
Well, I hate to break it to you. Aaron left Speed King off his list.
I know. That's when I heard that. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
we'll let it go.
Right there, though.
I mean, Aaron's kicking our ass with his metal collection on vinyl that he's got anyway, so he is outdoing us anyway.
That's my favorite album from the 70s, probably, though.
In Rock? Yeah, it's a great album.
I love it. So.
All right. So whose turn is it now?
Is it me? Number 8?
Yep.
All right. So, Chris, I was really quiet before because my number 8 is Anyone's Daughter.
Wow, that's great. I love the song, and it made number 8 for you.
Yes, those lyrics, I just love those lyrics so much, and it's just that story. And I was always thinking a band could do that, like a as a best of thing, have 3 different singers see each of the verses.
That'd be great.
Cool. I just love, every time I hear it, it's just that guitar, that acoustic guitar. It's just great. I love Anyone's Daughter, and I know that's a big surprise. I'm a big metal guy, but whenever I hear this album, it's like I almost go play that song again. I just love it.
I love Fireball, and I think that's why I go for Deep Purple and Rock is amazing. I'm not saying that at all. Like they're probably
they're like this to me too.
Yeah, but you know what? I just think there's just a little bit more diversity on Fireball for me. I like it, and I think
did a whole video on
Anyone's Daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, I love those 2 records. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my number 8 is coming off of Fireball. There's going to be a lot of fireballs here. And the song No One Came.
Mm-hmm.
It is the last song on the album. It's a freaking heavy song. And it's like it's got this pulsating beat. And I love when Ian Gillan says, "Man, your music is really funky." He's just got, I love when he says that. But the band just sounds like they're having a lot of fun on that song. And it's the last song. So I don't know if people remember it, but No One Came. It's a killer song. Number 8 for me.
Great choice.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I promise you this is a coincidence, but I took mine from Fireball also. I took the title track from Fireball just because, I don't know, I love that. It's so frenetic. It's almost speed metal in a way, but it kicks ass, and right out of the gate, it's like they're just full throttle ahead, and I always love this. So I took that one off. So
nice.
All right. Yeah.
So it seems like Fireball and In Rock are
dominating.
Are
dominating. Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody's got anything from Bananas yet.
Yeah. So my up to 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 7, title song, Burn.
Nice.
Just that guitar riff slays me. And I love the Glenn Hughes, and it's mainly Glenn Hughes singing that, I believe, and then Coverdale with it, but it's just great. Amazing song, Burn. And I wish I could have thrown more from Burn on my list, really, because I love this album.
Yeah.
Mistreated almost made my list as well. But Burn, yep, that's it.
I've always loved that cover of that album too.
Yeah, it's great.
A while back, I did a top 10 of Deep Purple. This was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago. And I've since gone back to it and changed things. So that's going to be different. If anybody ever watched my other list like 3 or 4 months ago, this is going to be a little different. And I didn't have this song on there, and I've regretted not putting it on there. So my number 7 is Woman from Tokyo off of Who Do We Think We Are. I really think it's the best song on the album. Like I said, I almost put Rat Bat Blue on there on my list because that's a great song too. But you can't go wrong with Woman from Tokyo. It's just a fun song. I love the drum intro, and it's got an earworm chorus. I mean, it's like Smoke on the Water. It's just one of those songs that almost has to be in a Deep Purple top 10. And I think Randy Weaver got on me about that when he watched my top 10. He's like, dude, you didn't put Woman from Tokyo in there? And then I said, yeah, that was wrong of me. I got to put Woman from Tokyo in there. So it's in my top 10.
It almost made mine. It was right there too.
Yeah, I love that middle section too. Is that still Ian Gillan singing the middle section where it's kind of like that little space rock middle section?
Yeah, I think he was the only vocalist. I don't think anybody else was.
Okay, it's just he sounds so different during that middle section that I love that. It sounds like Richard Wright in the middle, that middle section there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So my number 7 is going to be Space Truckin' off of Machine Head. Love that one. I love the guitar, organ, interplay there, and just I love it. I love that track, and always loved it. It's always been one of my favorite tracks on here. Had to put it on my list, and I make no apologies about it. So I just realized I'm gonna have to make this a 2-part video because of some technical issue here. But what we'll do is we're gonna follow up with part 2. We're all gonna log back in, and then we'll finish up with our list. Apparently, I got a 40-minute limit on my Zoom recording, which never happened before. So what we'll do is we'll stop the video and we'll pick it up with part 2. So make sure you stay tuned for part 2 of our Deep Purple video. So